Hey guys, so today is just going to be an update on my Shop My Stash. It's been quite a while. I want to say it's been almost 2 months since I've done an updated Shop My Stash basket. So let's just hop right into it. This is everything from back in like June, July that I've been using, that I've been rotating through. And one thing actually isn't in here, and you'll see why in a future video, but the one concealer that I chose was my e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer that is no longer in my collection. So I will link the video up here if you are interested as to why it's not in my collection anymore. But yeah, that was the concealer that I had chose for this basket. For the primer, I've been using my Lawless Set the Stage Hydrating Priming Serum. It's a really thin consistency. It works well with almost all makeup. I do notice this does have an issue with pilling, especially when you use a lot of skincare underneath it. So just watch what you're doing with that, especially if like the creams or anything that you're using is very like sticky, tacky, or thick. It can kind of have a negative effect with this, especially if you're putting like a foundation on top. So just beware. This type of primer works best for me when I really let all of my skincare sit and sink into my skin, let the tackiness and stickiness go away. Then I'll go in with my primer, I'll let that soak into my skin, and then I'll go in with my foundation or concealer or whatever I choose for that day. But I did really like this. I actually used it quite a lot. It was really the only primer that I used other than the one that's in my Project Pan. So I really did get a lot of use out of this. So it's kind of nice. I can kind of see it in the light here, and I'm probably about down to here. So that's pretty exciting. I chose two of my liquid foundations. I chose the one from Dior. It's the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. This is like one of my all-time top tier foundations. I love it. It's a really light medium coverage, and it's one of my darkest foundations, so it works best for the middle of summer, which is why I chose it for this basket. I also chose a skin tint, something a little bit more light coverage. It's the Lancome Skin Feels Good. It's their hydrating skin tint. It really is another favorite too. I actually used up a lot of it. I would repurchase this, but I would repurchase it in a color that's better suited for me. This is just a little too peachy pink for me. I've talked about, I'm pretty golden looking. I don't really have any orange undertones. I'm strictly just as yellow as they come. And this tends to pull really peachy on my skin tone. But like I said, it's a really good skin tint and I enjoyed using it. Two items that I wanted in this Shop My Stash were these two. They're both powder foundations. I have the L'Oreal Infallible, that new gone viral foundation. This one was sent to me. I really did enjoy it. It's still kind of dark and kind of peachy for me, so it is hard to use on its own, but I was mixing it with this one, which I enjoyed too, and it's my KVD Lock-It Powder Foundation. Obviously I like it. I put pan on it. I have this one in the shade Medium 52. One thing that I was more than happy in having in my Shop My Stash this round was this case from Billion Dollar Brows or Billion Dollar Beauty. I just added a few new eyeshadow shades because I had taken this guy on vacation with me. I really like the highlighter. I've really been enjoying the brow pomade. That is like one of my favorite items. And of course, they're technically like lip balm, colored lip balms. I've been using these three as actual like blush, cream blush. Love it. It's really good. I'm glad I have this in my collection. It's really nice and compact, so I can kind of take it with me anywhere or just pop it in my purse and I'm out the door. Let's talk about blush since I actually have a lot. I chose my liquid version of this baby pink color. It's the Maybelline Cheek Heat. This is the shade Pink Scorch. It's fine. I really like it. It's a very sheer type of formula. I enjoy it the most when I'm using a very light coverage foundation, a skin tint, or even no foundation at all, maybe just a little bit concealer. That's when it looks the best. So I did like this when I brought it on vacation with me back in this beginning of July. This is one of the only colors I do like. It's a very interesting gel formula, which I know not a lot of people like, but I do. Sue me. I also wanted to toss in my two Patrick Ta blushes. I have my monochrome Moment blush, and she's Sincere. It's got some good use in it. I used it quite a bit. It was just a good neutral shade that I could wear with any look, so this got used a lot. And then I also have the Double Take Cream and Powder blush, and she's so LA. Again, I was able to use this quite a bit. I didn't use it as much as the other one because this is more of a bronze color, like very similar to just a bronzer shade. So I felt like it was too much brown on my face with bronzer in this and then anything else I added on top of it. So this didn't get used as much, but it's a really nice formula. I really enjoy this formula, and I kind of hope he comes out with more of these. Maybe one day. Again, on the very neutral end of blushes, I picked out my Half Caked Candy Paint Lip and Cheek tint in the shade She's So LA. I got a lot of use out of this one. This is one of my favorite shades from the brand. It's really, really nice. That is the tone. It's really, again, really nice bronze neutral shade. I actually, for the longest time when I first bought this, I was using it as just a bronzer color, but now that I have like the actual bronzer color in this formula, I use that as a bronzer and this as a blush. But you can use it both ways. It's pretty multi-purpose. Second thing that I chose was from Kosas. It's the Sunshow Bronzer. I have it in the shade medium. I have dug into this thing. It's so dirty. Like, you can't even tell that this is green on the outside. I love this bronzer. It's very sheer on the skin, and it's a beautiful color for the skin tone that I am right now, since I am pretty tanned this summer. This has been an amazing option. I literally love this tone. It's one of my favorite bronzers, especially for the summertime. This has gotten a lot of heat. People don't really like this, but I really do. It's really good. Really, really good. Love it. I also added these two highlighters to the Shop My Stash. This one I've been trying to keep in the rotation, every rotation, just because it's one of my favorite cream highlighters, and I like adding a powder highlight on top of this one. It's from Marc Jacobs. It's the Spotlight Glow Stick. I've talked on and on about this type. It's really pretty neutral, and I love it. It's a really, really pretty color. Not much else you can say about it, although I think I am going to take it out now because I have picked up, or now I have a few of the Luster highlights from Half Caked, so I've been really enjoying playing around with those, and it's a pretty similar formula to this. So if you were looking for a dupe for this glow stick, because I don't think you can really find this anywhere, those ones from Half Caked makeup are like a spot-on dupe. No joke, it is a spot-on dupe. The texture and consistency is exactly the same. It's unreal. So good. But I also picked up the, excuse me, I keep saying I picked up. I also have been using the Persona powder highlight in the shade Zuma. Really nice champagne highlighter. Not much more you can say about it. It's really blinding, beautiful. I've been loving it, but I got some good use out of it, so I'm gonna put it back and choose something else. So if you follow my Project Pan videos, I had a product in there that I've been really trying to use up, and it's the Makeup Forever HD Loose Finishing Powder, but spoiler alert, I finished it. So I knew I was going to finish that really soon, so I wanted to add this because I am so much darker. I I used a lot of this, a lot, and it works great for the skin tone I have now. I think if you're any lighter than me, don't buy this one. I think they have a lighter version of it that I would recommend. This is the Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in the shade Banana. They have a light banana. If you're lighter than me, get that one. If I would use this any point during the year other than the summertime, I would look ridiculous. It would literally make my skin look darker on my face than the rest of my body. So yeah, I can only recommend this to you if you are my skin tone or darker. And lastly, I'm not going to mention any of my Project Pan items, but these were a few lipsticks that I had added to the Shop My Stash. I added the Bare Minerals Liquid Lip and Slay, one of my favorites, a really pretty lilac-y pink color. Wore it a couple times. I really liked it while I was wearing it on vacation. This is my Kylie Cosmetics Dolce K lip liner. It's my all-time favorite lip liner. I can wear it with anything. It's the perfect shade. I don't know if this color is even available anymore in a kit or even like on its own. If it is available, I recommend you getting it 100%. And then I just picked up, I chose the shade Bow and Arrow from the KVD Beauty Liquid Lipsticks. One of my favorite colors. It's a really good neutral shade. That's it up there. And then lastly, because it's getting old, all of these are like the oldest ones in my collection, which is why I chose them. This is my satin, ultra satin lip from ColourPop and Amanda Steele. Again, just a pinky nude shade, and that's it right there. Again, the reasoning for picking all these really neutral lip products were they're just the oldest in my collection. They really need used up because at some point within the end of this year, I'm gonna have to get rid of them. They're just very, very old at this point, and I shouldn't even be putting them on my lips, but they still smell fine, so I am. So that was pretty much everything worthwhile from my basket other than my eyeshadow palettes. So I'm gonna go over those now. The first eyeshadow palette I put in my basket was the Lime Crime Venus Immortalis palette. I have a love-hate relationship with this palette. A lot of these shadows are really hard to work with. My favorite shadows out of these are this one, and they're shimmers. They're the most beautiful foiled gray shimmers. Truly my favorites right there. But the rest of the palette just kind of is lackluster. This white really doesn't show up, and same with this color. I think it's called Moth. Yeah, Cameo is such a beige tone on me. While it lays down, it doesn't show up because it's literally my skin tone. Ash is probably the best matte shade in the collection. The black is pretty good, the shade Unseen, and then Unveil can get borderline patchy, but it's so dark. It's so dark too. It's hard to find ways to wear it. I do like this palette. It's all my grungy goth memories wrapped up all together, and I really do like it. It's just hard to wear on its own, so my thought was to pair it with other palettes, which is why I chose multiple in this collection. I also chose the Abh Sultry Palette, got some good looks out of it. I really stuck as neutral to the mattes as possible, and then just chose some of the warmer shimmers in here. I also added the Abh Riviera palette. I really enjoyed using this palette, and I used it the most with the next palette, the Natasha Denona Tropic palette, the full-size one, not the mini. I just thought all these colors would look so good with that palette, which was my thought process when bringing it out. So then here is the Tropic palette. I did get really good use out of this. I think I got the most use out of this palette and the Riviera one. Yeah, I enjoyed using these while I had them. If I remember, I'll try and leave some photos up around my face here so you can see like the different looks that I created over the last few months. Most of the looks were pretty basic and pretty neutral. The only other things that I had in my Shop My Stash were like my single shadows. So like my Kosas Shade and Globe, I made sure I wanted to bring that. I love that shadow. It's my top favorite. I'll leave a photo of what I looked like wearing it because I wore it all the time. And then I also had the shade Catnap from ColourPop. It's one of their Super Shock shadows. Love that one as well. Wore it a lot. They're just really good single shadow options. I actually picked up a few more Super Shock shadows because they're like my favorite formula. So that's about it as far as like stuff that was in last, I can't even say last month's, the last update that I did. So let's head over to my drawers and then we can go pick out some new products for this month's Shop My Stash. Okay, so everything in this bucket is essentially stuff from the last Shop My Stash. I'm gonna keep it in the bucket because I don't want to continue using the same products. Like I bought my serum, all the eyeshadow palettes that I use, you know. So I don't want to pick the same stuff again. And then obviously this stuff is going to stay like part of this basket because this is all my Project Pan items, so that's staying. So pretty much all the stuff that's in here I actually already have chosen out. I still have the brow products that I'm really enjoying, so I don't want to pick anything from in here. And then these are all my mascaras, but I'm still using up 2.5 of them, so I'm also not going to touch any of these. This is pretty much everything from my liquid lipstick drawer. To be honest, I really don't know what I want to choose. I might end up choosing it last and just going off of like what I'm using for my base makeup and my eyeshadow. I do think I really want to use these two shades if I can get them out. So this is a 3CE liquid lip. This is the shade Explicit. I want to use that. I also want to use this hot, like fiery orange color. This is Hotter Than Wasabi. This is from Half Caked Makeup. And while I'm on the orange roll, I'm going to bring this one out. This is KVD Beauty, and the shade is A Go-Go. Really awesome, some bright oranges. They're a little different than what I've been picking. So I'm gonna go with these three, and then I think throughout the actual makeup basket, I'll just pick whatever, you know, I want from my nudes. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with these three for right now. Okay, I think this decision is going to be the hardest because this is like my foundation, spray drawer, primers, and concealers. I really don't know what I want to do. I don't really have any sprays left. I do have a spray that I have been using, but I also just got this one sent to me. This is the Cora Organics Minty Mineral Mist, and I love this stuff. It's super nice. So I do think I want to keep this out to use it. This is hard. As far as foundations go, I'm being honest with you, I don't really know what I want to do. I just got sent quite a bit. It's the Yves Saint Laurent Bare Look Tint from their like new line. I have worn this a few times, but because it's still new, I'm not going to use it, and it kind of shows up pretty pale on me, even though it looks kind of dark in the tube. So I'm gonna skip out on that. But like I said, I've received quite a lot. I just got that one sent to me, and I actually just bought this one, which is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Foundation. This was one of my all-time favorites. It's an OG. I really like it. Not sure if I want to put this in yet or not. Also just got sent the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation, and this is like a perfect match for my skin right now. But I think I want to go with some products that I just haven't touched at all in probably a year. So right off the bat, I'm thinking about the It Cosmetics. I think I'm going to put the CC cream in my basket in rotation. And I just have the shade Light. I also think I'm going to add the Dewy and Smooth foundation. This is pretty dark. I don't know if this is even going to match me right now, but I still have my Project Pan stick foundation, so I can kind of mix the two together to get a more custom shade option. I really don't know what I want to choose. I just got sent this. This is the Lancome Tint Needle Ultra Wear All Over Concealer. It's really, really nice. I feel like I want to choose concealers that I enjoy using. And right away, the first one I think of is my Kosas concealer, but also I'm thinking about this one from Too Faced because I'm literally so close to finishing it. I think I'm gonna hold off on the Born This Way one just because I have my 2 concealers still from my Project Pan that I am desperately trying to finish up, and then I'll probably throw this in replace of that at some point. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna stick with my Kosas concealer as my concealer for this month's basket. And as far as powders, since I've finished the powder in my Project Pan, I kind of need to add another one in. And I don't really know which one I want to go with. I have a lot. I think I'm just going to add this. This is the Ciate London Extraordinary Translucent Powder. I was really enjoying using my Makeup Forever HD powder, so I'm going to throw this in. I really haven't used this much, so it'll be nice to get some good use out of it. Right, as far as primers go, I kind of already know what I want to choose right away, and it's this guy right here. This is the No Problem, primer from Touch and Soul. It's really nice primer. I'm close to finishing it, so I think I want to keep going with this one. I also feel like I just need to choose one more. So I'm gonna toss this in. This is the All Nighter Face Primer, the Longwear Foundation Grip from Urban Decay. I'm gonna toss this in as well. I already know this drawer is gonna be the hardest for me. I already have a powder blush in my Project Pan, and I finally hit pan on it, but I do want to add one more powder, and it's gonna be this one from Kevyn Aucoin. It's the shade Sunset. It's just a really nice orangey, corally color, and I think it would go really well as far as like monochromatic looks go with the lip products that I chose. So I'm gonna put this in. I also think I need to go with one more, and I think it's gonna be this one. I'm gonna keep it with a monochromatic type of vibe. This is the Pixi On The Glow blush stick. This is the shade Juicy. Super cute. As far as highlighters go, I really don't know what I want to do. I was thinking I would toss this palette back in. I think I'm going to put this Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector back in. Yeah, I know this was in the very beginning when I started filming these, but I want to put it in again. I feel like I need a powder. But I'm gonna go with this Pixi Glowy Gossamer Duo. This one is Delicate Dew. The one that I had hit pan on was Subtle Sunrise. I think I want to go with something a little lighter and more blinding, and this is a good option. So I feel like I'm pretty close in hitting pan on at least one of these, so maybe I'll try and achieve that in this go. And bronzers, which are over in this little box here. I honestly don't know what I want to do because I have this new bronzer palette from Pixi that I would like to add in. It's just a powder bronzer. And I just got a ton. I really did. I just got so many new bronzers in my collection. I just got this from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's their Sun-Kissed Cream Bronzer. It's just, I feel like with the dark foundations that I chose, that this might not be the best option. I feel like I need to go a little darker than that. Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna throw in my Milk Makeup Stick. I have not used this in a very long time, so I think I'm gonna add this in. But along with that, I think I'm going to add this one in as well. This is the Bare Minerals Powder Bronzer. And this specific shade is Warmth. And I think this will go well with how dark I am right now. So I think it'll be a good one to go with. I'm actually surprised I picked that with as much ease as I did because this has been really, really hard. Honestly, look at this one too, and I'm like, oh, I could totally go with this because it's such a good one. Look at that. Now I'm gonna stick with the Bare Minerals one, but I'll probably use this one soon. Okay, I think that's everything that I want to pick from this drawer. So let's move on. Okay, so this is my really messy palette drawer. So I took all of my single shadows out and kind of did like a build your own palette. So this is the color story that I picked out. Kind of interesting. I'm kind of digging it. You can see the pretty duochrome flips in it. So I did a random number generator with 9 shades and I chose this. One of the shades actually is this big one right here. This is actually an old highlighter and it doesn't swatch that good. So I tried matching the one right next to it on the right, which is an actual eyeshadow. And it's like the closest color I could come to it. So if that highlighter doesn't start working well enough as a eyeshadow, I'm probably just gonna get rid of it and then I'll use the eyeshadow there on the right of it in replacement. But yeah, this is the cute little color story that the random number generator pulled from all of my single shadows. I don't really know what way I want to go. I thought I knew and now I don't, of course. Okay, so I feel like I want to use this as my neutral palette. I think I'm only going to pick 2 palettes. This is going to be the neutral palette that I pick. It's pretty basic. It's from Pretty Vulgar. I don't even know if you can buy Pretty Vulgar anymore, but I do love the shimmer shades in here. They're so pretty and they're that like grungy type of brown color that I'm enjoying. I don't really know what direction I want to go with the color. That's the problem. So I could do something that's a little more subtle in color, which would be, I could do something with this palette, Carly Bybel. I still have those cool tone options up top, which would match the Pretty Vulgar, or I could go totally different and do Subculture. I think I'm going to pull Subculture in instead, maybe green or purple shimmers. So this is my green Huda Beauty Obsessions palette. Ton of shimmer options. And I was also thinking of the purple, like I said. I think I'm going to add the green one. I think it'll go a little better with the palette that I chose. the Subculture palette that I chose, but I also think this can pair really well with the colors that I did with my random number generator, the like palette that I made myself. So I'm gonna go with this one. We're gonna go a little dark this month, I guess, with my shadow options. Okay, so we have everything put back together. I'm really looking forward to using some of these items. Spoiler alert, I have it all on my face today. Pretty sure all of it is a Shop My Stash item on my face. I do have a couple of my Project Pan items too, but for the most part, it's all Shop My Stash items. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next update or my next video, whichever you choose. I'll leave some options for you guys to watch, and I hope I see you soon. Bye guys.